Friends, a person's biggest poverty isn't his clothes, it's people's mindset, which judges him before even trying to understand him. That morning in Bhubaneswar, dark clouds covered the sky. It was raining continuously. Amid the cars rushing down the road, a man walked slowly, getting drenched. An old bag in his hand, worn-out shoes on his feet, and on his face a smile that looked calm from the outside but hid who knows how much pain inside. His name was Raj Verma, aged 30. He worked at one of the city's biggest IT companies, Orissa Tech Solutions, but truth be told, hardly anyone there looked at him with respect. Raj reached the company's main gate. The guards saw him and smiled. "Good morning, Raj, sir." Raj smiled back. "Good morning, Rameshji." This was the one man who always gave him respect. Raj went inside. As always, the office was buzzing with activity. Some people were rushing around with laptops, some were preparing for meetings, and some were busy finding faults in others. Then a voice came from behind. "Hey Raj, put this file in my cabin." Raj picked up the file without saying a word. He had barely moved forward when another voice called out, "Raj, set up the conference room too." Then a third voice, "And check the printer as well." Raj just kept smiling. No anger, no complaint, no response. Looking at him, it seemed as if he had given up fighting life, but the truth was different. Some people give up in the face of circumstances, and some endure circumstances with a smile. Raj was the second kind of person. At that moment, the office's main door opened. A girl walked in. A white and blue professional suit, a face full of confidence, and eyes with a clear simplicity in them. Her name was Shweta Soni, aged 25. She had come to join the company as the new HR executive. Everyone was welcoming her, but Shweta's gaze suddenly stopped on Raj. She saw one employee handing him files, another giving him orders, a third scolding him, and Raj quietly doing it all. Shweta found this strange. She asked a girl standing nearby, "Who is this?" The girl laughed. "Oh, you don't know him. This is Raj, the biggest helper in the office." Then she said softly, "Though people basically think of him as the office boy." Shweta looked at Raj again. For some reason she felt the story was something else, something deeper that wasn't visible. It was afternoon. Outside, the rain had grown heavier. Raj was carrying some important files to another department when his foot slipped. The files scattered on the floor. Some employees started laughing. "Man, Raj, you can't even do one thing properly. No idea why the company even keeps you." The laughter grew louder. But in that crowd, there was one face that didn't find any of this funny at all. Shweta's. She immediately stepped forward and bent down to pick up the scattered files. The whole corridor fell silent. People looked at each other's faces. Perhaps for the first time someone had helped Raj. Raj said softly, "Ma'am, please, leave it." Shweta smiled. "You don't say leave it when helping someone." For a moment Raj's eyes met hers. And for the first time, the pain hidden in his eyes was clearly visible, pain that perhaps no one had noticed in years. Raj lowered his gaze. "Thank you," that's all he said, but that one word carried so much within it. So much. Evening began to fall. The office was almost empty. The rain was still going on. Shweta got up from her seat and started to leave. Then her eyes turned toward the parking area. Raj was standing there alone. The rain kept falling on him, but he wasn't moving, just looking up at the sky, as if remembering someone, or perhaps some old pain. Shweta took a few steps toward him. But just then, Raj's phone rang. He answered the call, and the next moment his face changed color. For a few seconds he listened to whoever was on the other end. Then in a very quiet voice he said, "Yes, sir. I'll reach on time tomorrow." Then, as if to himself, "Maybe the truth won't stay hidden much longer now." He hung up the phone. Shweta stood at a distance, watching all of it. Hundreds of questions arose in her mind. Who was Raj talking to? What truth, and what was it that had been hidden for so many years? She didn't know that in the coming days, these very questions would shake the entire office. And elsewhere, some of the company's senior officials were preparing for a meeting that was about to change many lives. What will happen next? Who really is Raj? And what is the biggest secret of his life? Friends, let's find out. The next morning, the weather in Bhubaneswar was clear. But inside the company, the atmosphere was more heated than usual. The same discussion was on everyone's lips. "I heard the board of directors is coming. Some big decision is about to be made. Maybe something is going to change in the company." People were talking more than working. But there was one person going about his work, as usual, Raj Verma. The same calm face, the same simplicity, the same silence. Sometimes the people who smile the most are hiding the most pain. Raj was delivering important files from one department to another when Vikram Malhotra appeared ahead of him. Vikram, who took great pride in his position. A few months earlier, during a project, Raj had given a small piece of advice, a very simple suggestion. But Vikram had mocked him in front of everyone. "You do your own job, Raj. Business matters are understood by important people." But later that very advice turned out to be right. It saved the company from a loss of lakhs of rupees. From that day on, Vikram had developed a strange resentment toward Raj. He felt this ordinary man was somehow diminishing his own importance. And today he got another chance. He stopped in front of Raj. "Don't show your face at the afternoon board meeting, Raj." Raj asked calmly, "Why, sir?" Vikram laughed, "Because decisions are made there. And there's a difference between people who make decisions and people who carry files." A few people standing nearby laughed too. But this time, for a moment, the pain in Raj's eyes was clearly visible. Still, he said nothing, just nodded slightly and walked on. Shweta, standing at a distance, watched all this. Her unease kept growing. She couldn't understand how Raj endured so much. At noon, the company cafeteria was almost empty. Raj sat alone, drinking tea. Shweta came and sat beside him. For a few seconds, both were silent. Then Shweta said, "Can I ask you something?" Raj smiled. "Go ahead, don't you ever get angry at anyone?" Raj set his teacup down on the table and looked out the window. After a moment, he said quietly, "I do get angry a lot. But life has taught me one thing. Not every answer is given in words. Some answers, time gives." Shweta fell silent. She felt that this man wasn't just making conversation. He was sharing the truth of his life. Evening began. The board meeting was scheduled for the next day, and preparations were underway across the office. The HR department needed some old documents, so Shweta went to the company's old record room for the first time. She was searching for files when her eyes fell on a corner of the room. Raj was standing there, holding an old photograph, about 20 years old. It showed a scene from the company's early days. Some people were smiling, some were standing, and Raj was staring at the photo very intently. There was a strange wetness in his eyes, as if some old memory was tied to that picture. Shweta couldn't quite understand. She moved closer, but before she could ask anything, Raj put the photo back and said with a smile, "Old things sometimes remind you of a lot." Shweta asked, "Do you have some old connection with this company?" For a moment Raj's eyes changed, but the next instant he smiled. "Maybe." That's all he said before walking away, leaving Shweta standing there with even more questions than before. That night, an email went out from the company chairman's office. All employees were asked to attend a special meeting the next morning. The whole office was buzzing with excitement. But that night, Raj couldn't sleep for a long time. He sat by the window of his small room, looking up at the sky, his eyes holding both hope and an old pain, as if he were waiting for a moment that would change his life forever. But what was that moment, and who really was Raj? It was still a mystery, and perhaps that mystery's curtain was about to lift very soon. The next morning, in that big company in Bhubaneswar, hardly any employee had arrived late. Today the mood was different, excitement on every face, the same question on every tongue. Who is the real owner of this company? The conference hall was completely full, but one seat remained empty right at the front, facing the stage. Meanwhile, Raj Verma entered the office quietly. As always, the same old bag, the same simple clothes, the same calm face. As usual, no one paid him any attention. But today, a few pairs of eyes were definitely on him. One of them belonged to Shweta Soni. For some reason, she felt today something big was about to happen, and that something was connected to Raj. After a while, all employees were called into the meeting hall. Raj too walked slowly toward the hall. But just as he reached the door, Vikram Malhotra stepped in front of him. "You're back here again." His voice carried the same arrogance. "Don't you understand? This meeting isn't for people like you." A few employees standing nearby quietly watched the spectacle. Raj stayed calm. "I need to go inside." Vikram laughed. "And I won't let you go inside. Now go back." Raj looked at him for a few moments, then, without saying a word, took a step back. Perhaps today too, he chose to bear the insult rather than respond. Inside, the meeting had begun. The chairman came on stage. He first cast a glance over the entire hall, then suddenly asked, "Has everyone arrived?" An officer said, "Yes, sir." But the chairman's face turned serious. He asked again, "Where is Mr. Raj Verma?" The entire hall went completely silent. Some people looked at each other, unable to understand. Shweta's heartbeat quickened. The chairman himself stepped down from the stage and walked briskly outside. Outside the hall, Vikram was still standing in front of Raj. Just then, the chairman arrived there. "Mr. Raj," he said respectfully. Raj looked at him quietly. The chairman's face carried a smile. "Everyone is waiting for you." Hearing this, Vikram's face fell. He thought perhaps he'd misheard something, but the next moment the chairman opened the door for Raj and said, "Please come in." The entire corridor sank into stunned silence. As Raj entered the hall, hundreds of eyes turned toward him. No one could understand what was happening. Raj walked slowly forward and sat in that same empty seat reserved at the very front. The crowd's unease grew further. The chairman returned to the stage. He picked up the microphone and said, "Friends, today I'm going to introduce you to a person who has watched this company very closely for years. He has seen the struggles of employees, their hardships, their joys, and their pains." The entire hall was silent, silent enough to hear a pin drop. The chairman continued, "Many of you didn't recognize him. Many of you insulted him, and many of you saw him as just an ordinary employee. Sweat began forming on Vikram's forehead. Shweta's eyes were fixed on Raj. Well, the chairman smiled. Please welcome Mr. Raj Verma, the largest shareholder and the real owner of this company. The moment those words landed, the entire hall seemed to freeze. No one could believe it. Some people's mouths fell open. Some stood up from their seats, and Vikram, he forgot to breathe. The man he had been calling a servant until yesterday was, today, his boss. Shweta's eyes filled with tears. Every word Raj had ever said came rushing back to her. His silence, his simplicity, his pain. It all made sense now. Raj walked slowly toward the stage, took the microphone, and said in a calm voice, "Today I'm not standing here as an owner, but as the same employee you've known all this time. The only difference is that today you've learned my identity." A deep silence fell over the hall. Then, the next moment, one employee stood up. Then another, then a third, and soon the whole office was standing in respect. In that respect there was regret too, and also a lesson learned. But Shweta still had one question in her mind. Why would such a big owner hide his identity? And perhaps the answer to that question was about to bring tears to everyone's eyes. The whole hall was still standing. Some faces carried shame, some astonishment, some eyes held respect. But amid all this, Raj Verma stood on the stage completely calm, no pride on his face, no arrogance in his voice, no desire for revenge. Just a faint smile, the same smile that had never left his face, even after every insult. The meeting ended. People slowly began leaving the hall, but no one's mind was on work. Everyone was talking about Raj. The man they had thought was an ordinary employee turned out to be the owner of the company. And the one who had never once used his power had now stood before them as the greater person. Evening fell. The sun's last rays touched the office roof. A cool breeze blew. Raj stood alone, looking up at the distant sky. Perhaps, after so many years, some weight on his heart had eased. Then a soft voice came from behind. "Raj, sir." Raj turned to see Shweta. Her eyes carried many questions, and perhaps some respect too. "May I ask you something?" Raj smiled gently. "You don't need permission, Shweta-ji." After a moment of silence, Shweta said, "Why did you hide your identity? You could have told everyone on the very first day that you're the owner. So why did you endure all of this? So much insult, so much talk, so much pain." Why, her voice grew emotional as she spoke. She had seen with her own eyes people mocking Raj, and she had also seen that Raj never once answered back. Raj remained quiet for a few seconds, then looked up at the sky, as if some old book of the past had opened before him. His eyes grew moist, and in a very quiet voice he said, "Because I wanted to recognize people. 20 years ago, this company was founded by my father. My father used to say the real strength of a company isn't its building, it's its people." A light came into Raj's eyes, as if he were seeing his father again. "When I was a child, my father often took me to the office with him. He knew every employee's name, from the guard to the manager. He respected everyone." Raj smiled faintly. Once I asked him, "Papa, you're such a big owner, why do you greet everyone?" He said, "Son, don't demand respect for your chair. Be the kind of person that people respect from their heart." For a moment, Raj fell silent. Then his voice grew heavy. "But when I was 18, a road accident took everything away." The air seemed to stop for a moment. Shweta listened quietly. "That day, I didn't just lose my parents. I lost my entire world. A tear rolled down Raj's cheek. That night, sitting alone outside the hospital, I understood for the first time that even the richest person in the world can become the poorest in a few moments. Shweta's eyes filled with tears too. Raj continued. Then I went abroad to study. Years later, when I came back, I saw the company had changed. People weren't respecting the person, they were respecting the position. They looked at clothes, not character. And that day, I decided I would hide my identity. I wouldn't live as the owner, but as an ordinary employee. I wanted to see whether people see me as a human being, or just a chair. Tears flowed from Shweta's eyes, and she found her answer. She asked softly, "And did you get your answer?" Raj smiled. "Yes, I got it. A very bitter answer. But I also got something good. I found some good people too." Shweta understood who Raj meant. Raj looked at her and said, "When the whole company saw me as small, you saw me as a human being. Thank you for that, Shweta." Couldn't say anything. Her eyes were moist. The next day, the entire office was called back into the hall. Everyone was present, including Vikram. But today his head was bowed. He hadn't slept all night, his own words echoing in his mind again and again. His taunts, his arrogance, his behavior. Raj reached the stage and said, "Today I've come to announce some decisions." The whole hall fell silent. Vikram's heart raced. He thought today would be the end of his job. But then Raj stepped down from the stage, walked straight up to Vikram, and said, "Mistakes are made by people. But the biggest mistake is not admitting one's mistake." Vikram's eyes filled with tears. He suddenly stood before Raj. "Please forgive me, sir. I misjudged you so badly." The whole hall was silent. Raj took his hand and said, "I forgave you the very day you insulted me." Hearing this, many people's eyes welled up. Then Raj returned to the stage and said, "From today, some new rules will apply in this company. No poor employee's child will have to leave school because of money. The company will bear the full cost of their education." Applause rang out. If any employee's family faces a medical emergency, the company will stand by them. An employment program will be started for widowed women. Every year, hundreds of needy children will receive scholarships. Now the whole hall echoed with applause. But Raj wasn't done yet. He picked up the microphone one last time and said, "Today I'm not speaking as the owner, but as a son. If my father were alive today, he would probably want this company to not just be a money-making company, but a company that changes people's lives." The whole hall fell into silence. Many eyes were filled with tears. A few months later, the company had completely changed. Now no one was judged by their clothes. Respect was given to the person, not the position. And on the office wall hung a photograph of Raj's father, with a line written below it, "A person's true identity is not their chair, it is their character." And Shweta, she still worked at the same company. Whenever anyone tried to belittle a new employee, she would smile and say just one thing: "Don't judge anyone by their clothes, because the person you think is ordinary might be far greater than you." They say God doesn't give everyone wealth, but He does give everyone a chance at humanity. Some people lose that chance, and some, like Raj Verma, turn it into their greatest strength, because in the end, people don't remember how much money you had. They remember how much heart you had. Friends, a person's identity isn't found in their clothes, position, or money. It's found in their character and humanity. So never belittle or insult anyone, because every person carries an untold story inside them. If you liked this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so that more heartfelt stories like this reach you first. Thank you.